kind of bring you back the best of the best. So in 30 minutes, I'm going to give you the short notes, and I'm going to send you, if you guys want, the slides, anything you need, so that if you wanted to kind of recreate this conversation, you can. But I'm just going to give you the highlights, because, you know, Gary always has such a good event. And I'm going to break it down between like the few talking points I think are critical for you guys to start having with your agents, what those might be from the economic and market slides that he shared. And then I want to show you his keynote, different conversation people he had conversations with, and kind of their big message. And then the fabulous Mike Hillary has in crazy detailed notes that he's allowing me to give you guys as well. That breaks down every individual agent that was interviewed, and other days that you maybe wouldn't have had access to, such as Gary's CEO Mastermind. So all that's coming to you because you guys registered. So I'll make sure Sheila gets that over to you. So without further ado, if you look at, can you see the Mega Agent Camp slide? Okay, here are the slides I want you to go to if you're going to have a pep talk with anyone, you're going to do a team meeting, or even break these down for videos to send out. Slides 14 through 16 are really powerful when explaining what the market's doing. And I'm going to role play that too and show it to you. And then slides 29 and then 32 through 35 really it encapsulate what the heck's going on with mortgage, but then where's the opportunity to go get listings right now? Like, what should our really progressive, quick to move agents be doing right now to go slay listings? And then slide 30 and 31 are just really important for our agents' mindsets. So without that, I'm just going to go in and jump into these and role play them for you. And if you guys have any questions, just jump in. So if we go all the way to slide 14 through 16, this really shows what's going on with people thinking about, talking about, and referencing inflation. This is Google, the search, how much people were searching the word inflation. I mean, all we were talking about was inflation for a while there. And now it seems like, although inflation isn't really that different, people are just tired of talking about it. And yet, it's a really interesting recession that we're in. And Gary explained it as a rolling recession. And what that means is that there's some parts of our economy and industries that are like kicking butt. Like there's no problem in their industry. And then there's other industries such as ours that are really in the opposite corner. So he's calling it, like, people are arguing, are we in a recession? It's because if you're on one side of the fence, things are great. And then if you're on the other side of the fence, things are not so great. So when you think about that, that's also a clue on where opportunity lies. And yet, you know, that's kind of the end of the great debate. Are we in a recession? Absolutely. So that's a good thing for you to share. And I think it also will help you guys stand out as kind of that economist of choice. But it gets people to realize, like, dang, yeah, some industries are really having the time of their lives. And that's not all doom and gloom. On that, that's basically what he covered. And then if we go to slide 29, this is where we talk mortgage rates. And what I would say for slide 29 is that this is a really great slide to share. And it shows that 89% of all the mortgages have a mortgage rate of 5% or less. So it's like 90% of the world is under 5%. That's insane, you guys. That's not even healthy for the world economy. So just know that this is really good that we're moving to a more healthy market. And at the same time, you guys, this is not the market of 2010 where people lost their home. That was sad. It was depressing to be a realtor back then, because if you were getting referrals from your friends, that meant they were losing their home. So this is a happy time. This is a balancing of healthy market. So you guys need to be optimistic and share that optimism, because a lot of agents are just fearful of what's ahead. So that's kind of our reality. 90% of agents have of consumers have insane mortgages. And yet if we switch gears to slide 32, where am I at? 32, we talk about home equity. So this is where the opportunity for your agents are. So there's 87 million homeowners in the US. So this is the slide that shows that. And then it shows next slide is that 39% or 34 million own their home outright. They have zero mortgage, 100% equity. That's insanity. We've never had that much of a healthy way of being in the US. I'm proud of us. And yet we have a lot of wealth sitting in equity mode, not working for the consumer. So this is a great wealth conversation. In fact, if you go to the end slide here, 39% completely free and clear, 31% have about 50% equity, and then 30% have less than that. But it's just, there's only 30% of all the homeowners that have really nothing to give. And the rest, that 70%, have either 100% equity or a lot of equity just sitting there rotting, not doing anything for them. So this is where a wealth conversation, or bringing in a communicator to, communicate with the agents about wealth management, how to get access to that money, how to make that money start working for you. Think about what that you guys could do to educate your own agents, but also have your agents create like a wealth seminar. There's so much you could do with this, but that's where the listings are, you guys. That's really it. And people just getting tired of waiting for mortgage rates to get better. So, when you hear that, I just want you guys to hear, that's what Gary's like, hey guys, wake up. There's a huge opportunity. And yet you need to start that conversation. And you as the realtor don't have to be the expert of it, but why couldn't you interview an expert of that? Right? Maybe you're not geared to speak about 1031 exchanges, but who could you partner with that could? How could your office hold like a seminar? So just food for thought to get you guys thinking on that. And then slide 30, to go back to slide 30, this is their reality check. You may want to lead with this. And this is a slide showing that this year is the worst year in real estate. Worst year of all time. But it's not. It's actually the third best year for payday. And yet our agents' mindsets are stuck in units, not in how they're making all this money. So you want to spend a little time reminding your agents that although they feel the slowdown and fear and worries creeping in, and a lot of them aren't quite sure what to do, you can tell them and show them and teach them what to do. You can lead them to what to do. And yet they shouldn't freak out, because literally, although it was the worst year ever in real estate for units, it was the third best for volume. And what are agents paid on? Units or volume? Volume. That's how much income. So although it was the worst year for units, it's the third best year for volume. And when we have a dip, like you can look at previous years, when you have a dip, what happens right after the dip? A big surge, right? So if volume maintains, if volume doesn't really adjust all that much, and I don't know about your market, but it doesn't seem like it's adjusting all that much here. If it maintains and we get units to pop back up, do you see how beautiful 2025 is going to look for our agents? It's really kind of that perfect storm of, the dip and then the recovery. And yet, who knows what's going to happen in the world? We have a lot of unrest with China and Korea and all this stuff. So we can't predict anything. And yet you can somewhat predict with this kind of detailed data and analytics. So what I challenge you guys to do is talk to your agents about these two slides, because they're feeling this, their mindset is this, it's hard, but they should be feeling this, and their mindset should be this. Like, you're chasing the third best pay year of all times, and really, how's your mindset? Do you need to check your mindset at the door? Do we need to work on that first? Because you guys know, if they're nervous, fearful, worry, that's all scarcity, isn't it? So just food for thought. This is a great wake-up call. So those would be the main slides. I mean, you guys can cover all the slides if you want, but I would say that would be the talking point around that. You guys have any questions or thoughts or any ahas from you? No? Good? Okay.
I just have a comment. I just think that it's so great to bring the positive, because everybody can just go down that rabbit hole of getting negative and just giving up, where I think that we're seeing that a lot. I feel like just bringing this positive back and saying, this is great, taking a positive spin on it, I think will really help the agents to feel like there is hope.
Well, okay, so I was gonna go in a different direction, but I'm gonna go in a direction that goes with what you just said, because what Gary he shared like kind of like what he was learning while they did these 1,500 hours of interviews with all these top agents, that most of them were unhappy. He was really sad to report that. He said, you know what, the common denominator with all these folks that, you know, they did a one pager on was they were all hustling. They're all, you know, making it happen. They're being resourceful and creative and moving and taking action. But a lot of them were unhappy. And so they spent a lot of time at Mega Camp reminding us of perspective. Because if we go back to what we just shared with you with units versus volume, that's perspective. The agents are losing perspective, right? I mean, that's all it is. And yet, that was a message, was hustle and happy, was the message from Gary. He wants us all to hustle, but he wants us to do it in a happy way. And so I guess I'll segue into the one pagers. The one pagers are the example of how Jessica does it her way, or I do it my way, or Judith does it her way, or Andrew, who's a phenomenal prospector, does it his way. We're not necessarily going to do it the same way. But that's okay, because like I said, if you go back to these one pagers, there's a bunch of different ways that agents are winning. Now, you have access to all the one pagers. Sheila will create a flip book for each of you if you'd like, that we have branded so that you can use it to recruit with and kind of flash, you know, be sassy, flashy. But I'll show you what we did last time. We're going to change it a little bit, and I'm just adding some finishing touches. I hope to have it done for Friday, to be honest with you. And I just haven't had time to just edit with her a little bit. But this is what we did last year with all the one pagers, so that we could use it to recruit, because it's kind of fun and flashy. You know, you got your flip book, and then it had, and what we did is we broke it down by topic. Like if you wanted more referrals, here's all that. If you were going to do events, and there's a whole bunch more. So this is social media, you know, all those open houses. So this is what we did last year. We're going to do something very similar, but here's what I want to share with you. What I'm really jazzed about is if you go into what they're sharing, it's way more detail. Like, you know, Jessica, you could have figured this stuff out, but I couldn't have because you're techie, right? You know, it's like they gave you enough, but you're like, well, what about, what do I do here? You know, and so like you would know what to do, but I wouldn't know what to do. So what I like about these one pagers, and I just want to emphasize this with you, I would literally review each of these and think to yourself, because again, you guys are the same as a mega agent. How am I implementing something like that? Or do I have anything, and should I just use this plan? Because you all should have an Instagram plan, right? You all should have a social media plan. You all should have a YouTube plan if you really, really want to. I mean, you've got their one pagers, and yet, or the office should. It doesn't mean that you need to become like the next Instagram star or anything, but I'm just saying, like, when it comes to you in your office, how is your office functioning like a mega agent office? So super cool, because the one pagers are really awesome again, but they're 10 times more awesome because, again, the detail. So homework I'd give you guys all to do is go look at them. I'm going to give you the link that I have, because I have put them all together in OneDrive, and I made them really tidy by topic. But so you can download them right now if you're like anxious to do that. And yet here's what I want you to think about for a sec. How could you use these to retain your top agents and go recruit and close? If you literally looked at each of these, they're so kick-ass, you guys. There's wealth, there's networking, there's leverage, there's everything. And I'll just show you the drive just so you guys can see it while we're chatting. What I would do is go through all the people that you need to re-recruit right now, or that maybe left you and you want to get back, or in your pipeline. And I'd say, which 2 or 3 of these should I put in front of them? Just get it in front of them and say, hey, I really want to help you in business, regardless if you're with me or not. Here are some strategies I thought specifically of you. You know, we should talk about these. We should make time for each other. Let's grab coffee. Let's jump on a Zoom, whatever you have time for. Like, I would just push in Because the truth is most agents are feeling struggle right now, fear, concern, worry. And if you just move in and just show care, people are going to feel it. First of all, even if they don't take you up on it, they're going to feel it. And second of all, it might be all they need to take action for you. A lot, like I said, if someone's struggling, they rarely stay where they're at. They'll leave the brokerage and go somewhere else for another offer, or they'll join a team, or they'll blah, blah, blah. But rarely do you see an agent that's really struggling just stay. So think about that. Think about how you could use these to close someone or get a conversation started. Then I would also look at your ALC and your top agents and say, which 2 or 3, depending on their personality and the strengths and what you know about them and their business, would you pull out for them and say, hey, this is what I learned. This is a blink of a business plan that I think you would be awesome at. I'd love to share this with you. That means a lot to people, and especially if you don't like give them the whole, or you give them the book, you might point out 2 or 3 that you think would really be worthwhile for them. So just food for thought. Those are ways that you can use these as conversation starters, re-recruiting, whatever it is that you might need. And yet we will get you all of these in a fancy flip book for any one of you that ask. Probably Friday is when I could get it done. Just because I honestly just want to look at it one more time to make sure there's no typos. And what we did do is we made it more of a recruiting book than we did last time. We kind of gussied it up a bit. If you have any feedback on it, just let us know. And if you want something changed for yours, we're happy to do that. But that's the drive link to all the one-pagers if you don't already have them downloaded. And those are just a few ways that you could use those to really engage your peeps. Any thoughts or questions or anything on that? Yes, Judith.
So do we just ask Jessica for the flip book?
Sheila, my assistant.
Sheila, I'm sorry.
You just email me at JessicaFox@kw.com and say, can I have the Mega Camp flip book? She's going to ask you for your contact info and your professional photo. So if you just even want to take a picture of your business card, she'll have all the info she needs. And
okay.
She'll just make it for you right away.
Perfect.
Cool. But again,
Jessica,
yeah.
this is your entire training calendar for the next year. Like this thing is absolute gold. If you don't have a copy of it, get it. I posted in the chat that I created a social media preview video that I think every TL should R&D. Create some buzz around this. Be loud, make some noise.
You guys should walk around like total nerds with that book. I'm not even joking. Like I would go to open houses and pop by and have my little book with me. I would be like that girl. Totally. People want that because that's a solution to their situation, and everyone's good at something. What do they need to lean in on? Right. Jess?
Yeah. So I've already been chatting with agents in the market center that I'm like thinking about as I was listening to panels that were not at Mega Camp. I'm like, hey, did you already see? And they're like, well, no, because I already know they didn't see it. Oh, well, let me send it to you. I already know that your one thing this year is focusing on X, so let me send you that one pager. Did you know about the one pagers? I'm like, just buzzword in the one. And they're like, what do you mean the one? So I'm sending them those one pagers that are really applicable to them, to what they're really working on in their business or what I know that they're struggling with in their business. And when I was sitting in the panels, I was thinking about different people that are R2s, and I'm not even really a recruiter necessarily. That's not my one thing in my role. And yet I do it. I was like, oh, I know so-and-so really is working on relationships in their business over at ABC Realty. And I was literally texting her and I'm like, hey, I'm sitting in this awesome session about like working on, building your sphere and, core VIP relationships. Would you like me to send you some notes? She was like, oh my gosh, really? Yes.
Yeah.
So I was just like literally texting people while I was sitting in the sessions. And so I'm getting coffee meetings with those people, but I already know them, I already have relationships. So I'm going to give them those value pieces. And if nothing else, it's just solidifying more reasons why we should be in relationship.
Really. And you think about it, it's so easy to like go through that book and, be like, okay, these 4 pages are for people that are totally into social media, or these 8 pages are for people totally into events. So it's not hard to do, but we did save them in, if you go on that drive, in like logical folders. So, like, these are all the wealth building things. These are all the this. So I hope you find that helpful, because every time you leave mega camp or family reunion, you've got like everything you need for the rest of the year. Just like Andrew said, he's got everything he needs. And yet it's bait. It's clickbait, people. And we know that 11% of everyone's moving around right now. So throw your bait out. You need to be fishing, right? And it's not a problem to give that stuff away. And I hope you heard that from Gary and Mark. Like, they want you to use it as your bait. Like, because the thing is when they're sitting at Remax or they're sitting at EXP digitally, and it's kind of lonely when you're struggling and you don't really have anything. And here we're like giving it away. Remember, that's how we got double the size last time. The last thing I would say, and I know I'm like totally kind of running over here a little bit, is they had so many cool, really cool keynotes for different parts. And some of you were at the CEO Mastermind, some of you haven't been at any of this. So I wanted to just break down the parts for each part and each person. Mike Hillary, the awesome Mike Hillary in the Chicago market, actually has a site called mikesnotes.net, where he has literally like printed out every note of everything in a Word document. He's a great coach, great guy, does it for everything. So save that site, because every time you go somewhere, he has like the most succinct notes. So if you wanted to hear what Molly Bloom basically said, he like dictated it basically. Same thing with Tim Tebow. And some of the other events that you may not have been access to. So go check those out. And anyone you want to drill down, say one of your agents is super fired up by somebody that was interviewed and you weren't there, you can literally go to Mike's notes and it's like the whole interview, all of her stats, all his stats, how they did it, yada, yada, yada. These are the key people that Gary brought up. And Molly Bloom, Molly's game, if you haven't checked this out, she's a felon. So we started out with a felon, which I thought was kind of cool. But basically she was talking about risk and also when you lose your integrity. And, she lost her integrity after keeping it for so long, one day, just a 1%. And then she said, then it went to 2%, then it went to 5%, and then she got into hot water. And so she talked about integrity. She talked about owning her mistakes. She talked about getting up and dusting off herself and moving forward, but also when you take risks and when you don't. So she was interesting. It was kind of interesting to start with a felon though. My favorite was Tim Grover. I didn't really know who Tim Grover was. I know he was an amazing guy and he worked with Michael Jordan, but I didn't know he worked with Kobe and Tom Brady at the end. So this guy's a stud. And what I loved about his message is he was really talking about like when you get dressed in the morning, you put on your own outfit. Like, no one's making you wear a certain outfit unless you have to work at a certain store with a certain thing. And yet your mood, you dress yourself with the morning, is you choosing it. And so I was thinking of Tom Brady, because Tom Brady got divorced and all that during the very end. I'm like, can you imagine his pep talk every day with Tom Brady and Giselle? But he was going through and just sharing with owning yourself. And then also one of the things he said, and I'm going to send you all these, is one of the things he said, I put right up here, is you're going to get knocked down. Stay down for a second. Stand up different. While you're down there, pick up the pieces you want and let the rest go. That's a really important message, because he's like, people like, oh, get right back up. No, like, what lesson do I need to learn? How do I need to be different? What do I need to let go of? And I'm like, it was everything he said was really powerful, to be real honest with you. He's just pretty wild guy. I can't imagine having him talk to you every morning though. I don't know if I could handle that. So I'm going to put all those infographics for you guys in that email with Mike's notes and this. And yet everything he said, the room was like pin drop quiet, a lot of internal thinking. So when you look at all the messaging that we got, from this guy to Molly to Tim and Tony DeCello, it was really very much about being consistent, but also instead of just hustling, hustle happy. So a lot of us came back and we did the exercise, the one thing exercise with the wheel, like where are you out of sync? Maybe it's spirituality or it's health or whatever. You know, we all kind of evaluated where were we in our happiness, because Gary said, when you look at the circle, they're all good to be in a good spot with, and yet rarely is anyone good everywhere. And yet if you look at and you evaluate, if you've been hustling so long and you've got the mindset of scarcity and you don't even realize it, and you've just been work, it might be time to look up and kind of evaluate. This is like time to think growth plan, personal development, what makes me happy. You know, don't just hustle, but hustle happy. And so I really picked up that they want us to really put those one pagers in front of people and identify what is your sweet spot. You know, what are you going to go all in? Now, yes, last night I got to hang out with Ken Posick and 2 other YouTube stars equal to his success. And Ken Posick's getting 700 leads a month on YouTube. I mean, you think about that, that's insane. And these other 2 gals, Gogo and Melanie, they kind of blew my mind too with what they were doing. And that's all they do. Gogo is 100% Instagram. Ken is pretty much YouTube, but that is all they do. And yet I'm like, wow, and they love doing it, you know, and they were having fun just talking about it. And I'm like, those are people that if they didn't believe that was okay to do, or, you know, they may have limiting beliefs like that was okay for them to do. And yet look at their stars in that realm. So look around you and figure out who are your stars. I mean, everyone's got to do something. It starts with your database, obviously. And then what is their other thing? Let's get some tribes of happy people doing different things together. There's probably a group, Jess, I know in your office, of tech wannabes, superstar wannabes, right? And there's just on the same side, other people, like people that want to run at wealth, like, and doing wealth seminars and other things. So, you know, think about the tribes you have around you that might naturally kind of already exist and how you could help develop them further. And literally it's like, what's the one page that everyone needs for them to give them new energy, new enthusiasm for the market ahead? So that's kind of it in a glimpse. I'm going to email you guys, like I said, the slides. You've got the access to the Google Drive right there. If you want a flip book, just email me. And if you want to get ahead of it, just send your headshot and how you want your phone number. And Sheila will just get it over to you. But that's it. Any thoughts, questions? No? Cool. If there's anything I can do, let me know. You guys have an awesome day.
Thank you for sharing, Jessica. I appreciate it.
Anytime. Have a great one.